First of all, testers need to prepare a test case. And to do so, they will need a mapping document that developers reference, as well as ETL script that developers use to create transformations. Finally, an SQL tool will be needed to apply a SQL query. ETL testers need to be comfortable with the SQL queries, as ETL testing may involve writing big queries with multiple joins to validate data in any stage of ETL. Scripts can be downloaded from the workflow that developer run to load the data to target, and then testers should use them to verify developer work. These files should be kept handy to verify any detail in mapping sheets. Testers also need to take the latest version of the ETL mapping sheets that contain all the information of the source and destination tables, including each and every column and their lookup in reference tables. Change log should maintain in every mapping document by developers. ETL mapping sheets provide a significant help while writing queries for data verification. The most important part of tester should focus on mapping document, apart from column name and type, is the transformation rules. Transformation rules for each column is really important to apply. These rules are used by developers to create the script. The result data in target should be equal to data in source after applying this transformation rule. Target table should be equal to source table after applying transformation rule. This is a sample of the test case that testers should follow. This one is for one column. Please note that each column in the table should be tested with these different scenarios, one by one until all columns are passed. The most important part in the test case is the actual result and the status. The actual result will consist of the SQL query that tester used for a specific scenario and the result of the query. If the result is as expected, then status should be changed to pass. Otherwise, it's fail. Each scenario has its own query, which is going to be explained in the following lecture. To sum up, the general methodology of ETL testing in green color is to compare between source and target by eyeballing, while tasks in yellow is tested by using SQL scripting. We are going to prepare a test case based on this mapping document. So first of all, we are going to copy the table name from the mapping document to the test case. And we add the column number. After that, we copy the column name from the target. First one is going to be the employer number. We copy this column 8 times because we have 8 different scenarios to test. And of course, the next column will be the expected result and the actual result that the testers are going to put the result here. After that is going to be the status. Next column is going to be the person in charge or the tester name and the date of the test and a reference. We forgot a very important one here, which is the test scenario. Should be putting here. Next, we copy the column name. Before copying it, we add the test scenario, which is the validation. The validation is going to be 3 different expected results. First one is going to be testing the data type, source data type and target data type should be equal. The second validation is going to be testing the length of the data type. Again, the source, length of the data types, and target should be equal. Next validation is going to validate the name of the column based on the mapping document. After validation, we are going to test the completeness of the data. The completeness is two types. First one is all expected data should be loaded correctly into the target. Next one, tester should compare the record counts. Record counts in source should be equal to record counts in target, of course. After completeness, tester should test the transformation logic. After transformation logic, tester should test the null value of the data. Verify that the null values were not null specified for a specific column. Last one is going to be the duplicate value. Where tester needs to validate the unique key or the unique primary key. All these scenarios should be tested for each column. Note that we are in the first column here, which is employer number. So we need to copy this to the 8 rows. After that, we jump to the next column, which is employer name, and we do the same thing as we did in the employer number. Of course, table name is the same, and we copy the test scenarios and the expected result as we did before for the next column. We do the same things for the third column until we finish the table. I made a mistake here where I need to copy the column from the target table, not from the source table. I'm going to fix that later. But the idea is that we need to copy whole scenario for each column one by one until we finish all the columns table. Table name is the same, and we copy the scenario to the new column. We jump to the next columns and we do the same. Here I noticed that I didn't copy the this column to the target table. I will fix the issue now, that we need to copy the column names from the target, not from the source, because it's the latest and updated table. So we already copied the employer number and employer name. And the job and the manager. Now we copy the experience, which is a combination between two things from the source. Also the total salary here is a combination from two columns from the source. And for more detail, you can see the transformation logic in the mapping document. It explains how two columns can form a new column in target. Okay, we complete the test case now with the last column here, department number. We copy and paste the same scenarios. Then we just amend the forms of the table, the new table here. Actual result is going to be written by the tester after he or she do the test. The status here now is work in progress, but once the tester finish, they need to change it to pass or fail based on the status, based on the test itself. After that, the test case, I think it's complete. Normally, when I do the test, I just filter based on the test scenario to complete each columns first that related to the validation, just like that. I filter first by validation, and then I test all the validation of the source type first for each column. After I finish that, I move to the next test scenario or next expected result until I finish everything. I think this way is easier, and this way doesn't make any confusion. So now we agreed that we will do two types of testing: testing by eyeballing and by SQL. To performing data validation by eyeballing, we need to focus on the following. First, data type check. This is to verify that the table and the column data type definitions are as the data model design specification. For example, data model column data type is number, but the database column data type is a string or varchar. So in this case, it's going to be failed unless developer change it to be correct. Number 2 is the length of the data type. In both source and target, they should be the same. For example, the data model column data length is 15, but the database column data type is 20. In this case, it's going to be failed. Number 3 is the naming standard check. Testers should verify that the name in the database, such as tables, columns, index, as per the name standards in the mapping documents. Finally, transformation rule or logic. Testers should verify correctness of all transformation logic and verify that the developers apply them into their code to create a target table. Let's say you have a mapping document to specific tables, and one of the tables have this column transformation rule where the developer script should transforming a date field from the source data. The developer script is expected to convert the date format from this format to this format. The tester will run SQL query to browse the source based on the transformation rule and compare it with the target data, which is nothing but the developer script's result. If the results match, the transformation is working as intended. If it's not match, the developer needs to amend the script and refresh the target table so we can test again. Sometimes we need to test fast. So to streamline testing, you may take a quick look at the developer's script and visually cross-check it with the transformation rule. Confirm that the developer has correctly applied the transformation rules by visually inspecting the script for compliance with the specified guidelines. To perform the data type validation by SQL query, testers should focus on record count validation. Testers should compare count of records of the primary source table and target table to check for any rejected records. This is a simple SQL query to check the account record for source and target. This is my test case. As you can see, 6 tables are done. Now we'll test a table name, collection customer data. Open the SQL here and change the name of the table only as the query has been written before, and run. Press Ctrl Enter to run and save the count result, and then go after that to script to run the query of the source with transformation rules that developer did to cross-check if it's equal or not. This is the script of the developer. Open it. As you can see, I only take a specific bulk of the query and then amend it in my SQL to show the record counts only before I run it. Some amendments here. After run, results seem to be equal. Now copy the whole query of the test case like this and go to the test case and paste it under the actual result column for reference. And of course, don't forget to change the status to pass. To perform the data validation by SQL query for mandatory fields, testers should make sure that mandatory fields should not be null. An example of that is, example business requirement says that a combination of first name, last name, middle name, and date of birth should not be null. In this case, tester should use this query. Again, SQL queries in this course will be attached with the lecture so you can download it. To check the null value, I normally create a helper Excel sheet to help me creating queries in a fast way. To do that, type the query here. Each word should be in different column. Select column name. Again, put your column and name one here. Count. This is a normal text. And then put the table name here. Again, put the column name here again. And then union all. After that, create an Excel formula here to aggregate all the cells that we created to create an SQL query. This query created once and can be applied to whole test case you may have now in the future. After running this, I will copy the first row and paste it to whole column I have in the table. If I have 10 columns, then I need to copy and paste it 10 times. After that, now we are ready to go to do the null test. We first copy the column's name we need to test from the test case, like this, copy, and go to your helper file that we created before, paste it in the first column, we paste all columns, the first column, in my Excel, and delete the other columns that are related to another table. We need to copy the columns in 2 columns here. Then change the table name. Of course, bring it from here. Copy the schema and the table name. Paste it in the Excel sheet for all columns. Then apply the Excel formula. After that, copy the result and go back to the SQL to paste it. After pasting this, we make some amendments and then run. Results must show no data, but here it shows that there is three partial null for 3 columns only, and in this case it's okay because mapping documents show that these fields are not mandatory. So we copy all the query and paste the whole thing in the test case under the actual result, like this, and change the status to pass. The last thing to perform the data validation by SQL query is the duplicate data check. Tester should look for duplicates row with same unique key column or a unique combination of columns as per business requirement. An example of this is business requirement says that a combination of first name, last name, middle name, and date of birth should be unique, which means only one record and can't accept the duplicate rows. This is a query also can be downloaded from the lecture. To test the duplicate, we need to copy the column's name from the test case and put it in the SQL query. And we run it. Of course, we change the table name because we used this query before for another table. So after running, result must show no data. we have some difficulties here because we need to group by all columns here because all columns are unique. This table, I think, have more than 20 records. Oh, it's only 16 records. So we run, as we can see, there is no data in this table. There is no duplicate data in this table. So we now copy the empty table result and paste whole thing again in the test case, actual result, and change the status to pass as before. Note that performing 100% data validation is a challenge when large volumes of data is involved. In this case, tester can apply column data profile validation to compare source and target data without comparing the entire data. It's like comparing the checksums of your source and target data. These tests are essential when testing large amount of data. Some of common data profile comparisons that can be done between the source and targets are: compare unique values in column between the source and target. Compare max, min, average max length, min length values for columns depending on the data type. Compare null values only in column between the source and target. For important columns, compare data disruption frequency in a column between the source and target. This is some example of this: to compare column counts with value between source and target for each column based on the mapping.